Welcome to Mornings with MoneyMan. This is the first of many episodes, and we're going to do a one-take Willie on this. So welcome to the podcast. My name is Will Myers. I'm coming to you from Austin, Texas, and we do one-take Willie, which means we are going to record this entire thing, good or bad. You're going to get it as it is, no editing, no chopping. It is what it is. So welcome. We're going to get into some income equality. What's the word? What's the word they say? Income inequality is the popular terminology that we're going to address today. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about paying your fair share of taxes, what the heck that means. What is market share? Is that a real thing? And some of the things that you can do to grow your income instead of this nonsense of income inequality. So we're going to talk about a lot about all of that stuff. And as always, if you need access to any of the free resources or any of the other programs or things that I do, and you want to learn how to buy assets that produce passive income, so you can get financially free without waiting until you're old, you can always go to MoneyManMyers.com. That's me, MoneyMan, and Mornings with MoneyMan. Let's kick this thing off. Okay, so we've got the coffee. We are brewing. We are moving and grooving. And you hear this thing all the time, and it's stood the test of time. Politicians can constantly say this thing about income inequality, the desire for them to get more votes. So they say these things to pull at heartstrings of people. They capture their votes, and then they're gone. And there has been no equality of income. So it hasn't quite worked out the way that it's been talked about in the past, in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even in present day, you're going to hear these conversations, and it's a really creative way to collect votes. But it's not a creative way to spread out money because it hasn't quite worked, and it will never work because it's not possible. One of the things I want you to understand is that you can't distribute wealth to the people that need it, because the people that are distributing the money keep the money for themselves. And it's interesting how that always is the case. Not sometimes, always, 100% of the time. And it's always the people that say, no, this time it's different. I'll be in control of the money. And where'd the money go? We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But we have to understand some of the fundamentals of like the world, of the universe that we live in. Number one is that you can't redistribute love. If somebody's got a great relationship with their husband or with their wife, and you go, wow, they're in a great relationship, they've got too much love and happiness, as Al Green would say. They got too much love and happiness. We need to redistribute that to the people that don't have enough love, that are in bad relationships, that are constantly in the cycle of dating somebody that is not in their best interest. We need to redistribute some of that love and happiness, so now that relationship is fixed and better and improved, and these people that were fighting and in disputes and doing all kinds of stuff that's not serving them or the relationship, now there's fine because we took some love. You see how ridiculous that sounds? You can't redistribute that. And then you look at somebody that's got great health and fitness. Man, look at all the muscles on that guy. Look at all the muscles on that girl. Look how strong she is. Look how agile he is. Look how much athleticism, the fast twitch muscles. Let's take some of those fast twitch muscles and let's redistribute that across the population. Let's take some of the athleticism. Let's take some of that good diet and redistribute it to these people that are eating donuts all the time. That doesn't make any sense. Let's take some of the money that these rich people have, and we're going to redistribute it amongst the people. It doesn't work that way. Just as you can't redistribute the vegetables and the eating habits and the proper nutrition and the proper diet and the proper exercise and the proper mental well-being, the things that people are putting in their mind, just as you can't redistribute that to people with poor habits, poor diet, poor exercise, poor mental habits, poor things that they're putting in their mind, you can't redistribute that. It's the same thing as you can't redistribute money. We're going to talk about that. But talking about the redistribution of wealth, talking about the inequalities of income in the United States is a great political way to capture votes, which is all it is designed to do. And if you believe that you can redistribute income inequality, if you can redistribute money to make income more equal, if you believe that to be true, then you have been sold. All good. All good. Hope I'm not the first one telling you this. You can keep voting. Keep doing your thing. The coffee is good. It is warm. My grandfather always said, it's not so much the coffee as it is the warm hug that you need in the morning. So let's get into this. We're going to go through quite a few things today. And let's just kind of address this thing. Let's say, hypothetically, that you could redistribute wealth. We're going to come to that in a minute, but actually right now, you can't redistribute wealth. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here in just a minute. But like, for example, I've got some graphics and stuff that I'm putting together for this podcast, and I have no experience in graphic design. I went to somebody and was like, hey, can you do desktop publishing? And they were like, what is that? I was like, I don't know. That's what they called it when I was in school. They're like, yeah, we don't call it whatever the hell that is now. So that like tells you how much I know about the subject. So what I did is I went to the free market. There's many different marketplaces that I can go to find graphic designers, website designers, funnel designers, all kinds of stuff. And I went to the free market and I asked the marketplace, I said, hey, who here has skill in solving the problem that I'm trying to do? I would need to design graphics for my podcast. Here's what I'm looking to do. I went to the marketplace. And there's a range of pricing in this marketplace. The people that are just starting out are very low pricing. They're trying to break into it. And maybe the people that are just starting in graphic design as a freelancer, as an independent contractor, work a full-time job doing something that they don't really desire to do. Maybe they're administrative assistant, or maybe they're stuck in some crap job, but they've got these skills, or they've got this love, this desire for this thing. They want to get their art out. They want to express themselves in this way, and they have a passion for it. And so they're trying to cut their teeth and get started. And so I can pick those people based on price and based on the skill set they have, because they're just starting out. Maybe I'm like, hey, I'll give you a shot, and I'll pay you. They set their rate. They're a freelancer. So I can go to websites like Upwork or many other places, and they've publicized the rate that they're willing to work for. I send them what I'm looking to do. They send me back, yeah, this is worth that price, or it's going to be more because you're asking for these other things. And then we come to an agreement, go into the free market to ask. And then I go to the other end of the spectrum, and I see these people with tons of years of experience, and maybe they run their own company, maybe they're just an independent freelancer, and they've got a book of business and clients. They've been doing this for years, decades sometimes, and they're charging a significantly higher rate than the people just starting out, because they've got the skills, they've got the track record, they've got the portfolio, they've got the testimonials from their happy customers. And so I can go to them, tell them what I'm looking for, and they're going to give me their rate. And they're going to say, yeah, here's what you're going to pay if you want this done, and I can get it done. And if you want to do it fast, you're going to pay more. If you don't care about the time, then here's the rate. So the market is telling me what they want to receive based on the work that I want done. And then we can have this exchange. I can go to the small side and I can go to the big side, and that's how the market decides what it's worth. Now, let's say that I pay too much money to somebody, because there's this conversation all the time about people receiving too much money. You know, the CEOs are overpaid, or this athlete should not get $20 million a year. This athlete, can you believe the quarterbacks in the NFL now are making $50 million a year? There's this conversation that people are getting paid too much money. Well, if I go to the high end of the spectrum and I get the graphics done for this podcast and I pay the rate and I get it back and it's garbage, I leave a review. Or I can work it out with the guy like, hey man, this is not what was advertised. Can you like do another revision of this? And he goes, nah, I'm not doing a revision, man. That's my work. That's good stuff. And I go, dude, are you kidding me? And, and there's that dialogue. And I leave a review. And I'm like, man, tried to work with this guy. Didn't work out. Look out. Here's the work that I asked for. Here's what it looks like. I don't know if this, what happened. And then the next customer behind me reads the review. Is like, oh, maybe there was a fluke. Boom. Gets the work back and it's garbage. We're paying this guy top dollar. He's giving us garbage back. He leaves a review. Man, this guy's trash. The guy behind him and him and him. And his reviews steadily go down. And then eventually, the guy can't get work anymore because his reviews are so bad that nobody's coming back to him. It was a fraud. It was a scam. It was a bait and switch. It was a whatever. Now he can no longer get work. Same thing in the free market. But if you get a CEO that's earning too much money, it's not for us to decide. The market will decide. Many times throughout history, CEOs have been overpaid. And they're overpaid only for a short period of time, and then eventually they can't get another CEO job. There's many examples through time on this. It's not for you and I to decide what somebody is or isn't worth. It's when that trade comes about, when I'm going to the marketplace and I'm asking for graphics to be done for this podcast, and I go, look, hey man, I like your work. Let's do an exchange. If the exchange is positive, awesome. I'm going to tell everybody about it. I'm going to leave you a good review. If the exchange is not positive, I'm going to respond accordingly. And if I'm wrong, if I'm trying to drag this person down with nasty reviews, as had happened in times, the market is going to go, no, you're crazy, dude. This guy's producing great work. The market will balance it out. Sometimes it takes one day. Sometimes it takes 1 year. Sometimes it takes 10 years. But the market will find balance. So we've got to be careful. We are not the judge, the jury, the executioner. We are not God. We do not decide what somebody is or isn't worth. The market decides that? I'm going to get into some of this a little bit deeper, baby, but there's no such thing as income inequality. It is a made-up terminology. There's no such way to equalize income among people in the marketplace. The only way to do that, we're going to get to here in just a minute. But that's interesting. Okay, okay. Let's just say that I'm completely making all this stuff up, and this isn't even possible, and there's no such thing as Upwork.com. There's no such thing as freelancers. There's no such thing as reviews, and there's no such thing as any of the stuff that I'm talking about. And let's say that you can redistribute income. It is possible. Who are we going to let redistribute our income? The government? The government. The government. Okay. Let's take a look at the track record. Before we take a look at the track record of the government, let's put this up on the board. And the video podcast is posted on YouTube, and if you're listening in on this, I'm going to try to describe the image that's on the screen now. This is a visualization of how big $1 trillion is. Specifically, in this graph here, $2 trillion, how $100 bills would stack up. So if you're trying to stack up $100 bills, number one, if you wanted to stack up $1 million in cash with $100 bills, it would be about the height of a desk chair, about the height of a desk chair, like 3.5 feet. So if you sit in a chair at a desk, you can kind of visualize. If you stacked up $100 bills, one on top of another, $1 million, about as tall as a desk chair. If you wanted to have $1 billion, same thing, $100 bill increments, $100 bill on the bottom, and then one on top of it all the way up, and you wanted to stack up $1 billion, that would go to about 0.66 miles, which is just a little bit taller than the world's tallest building, which I believe is the building in Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, so somewhere over there. 0.66 miles, so just less than a mile. It's what is that? 2/3 of a mile. That's $1 billion in $100 bills. 2/3 of a mile. Now, if you wanted to have $2 trillion, $2 trillion. So we're trying to understand how big is a trillion. Well, $2 trillion stacked up with $100 bills, the same thing. We got to give some context here. So the space station is 248 miles above Earth. 248. So think about space station. Okay, got it. Visualized. Cool. $2 trillion is over 5 times as high as the space station. So you were starting at the space station. Over 5 times higher than that is where the $2 trillion mark would hit. If you're stacking $100 bills on top of each other, there's no wind, so they don't fall over. So $1 trillion, instead of it being 5 times as high, is half that, which is 2.5 times as high as the space station. What? That's how big $1 trillion is. And the reason that I'm framing and giving you context to this is because if we're going to trust the government to redistribute wealth, we've got to put on the record books that they are currently $31 trillion in debt. So let me get this straight. We have paid the United States government taxes, income taxes, since 1913. They tried to have income tax before then. It was deemed unconstitutional. We're not going to get into that in this podcast. We will in another one. Don't you worry. And we've been paying them since 1913, and it's 2023. And over that time frame, they have racked up $31 trillion in debt. Not only have they mismanaged the money that we have sent them through income tax, sales tax, property, and there's all the taxes. And I now understand there's state, county, federal. We've sent them a lot of freaking money. Can we agree on that? Through all the taxes. There's capital gains tax. There's not only have they spent all of that money since 1913 to present day. That's almost 100 years. Income tax came out in 1913. It's 2023. That's 90 years. They mismanaged all of that money so poorly that now they're $31 trillion in debt. $31 trillion in debt. And you believe that they are the entity that is most responsible to distribute, let me use their terminology, to redistribute income amongst the people, and they're not going to mess it up? I don't know if I can trust your judgment. Like legitimately. Hey, man, we've got this guy. He is $31 trillion in debt. But this time it's different. We're going to give him a couple extras. Get out of here. That doesn't make any sense. They're the least likely person. That's the last. No. Even if you could redistribute wealth, you can't trust them to do it. They have a 90-year track record proving they have no idea what the hell's going on. when it comes to money. Let's take a look at this. Look at this. The Department of Defense had an audit, had several audits, had 5 audits in a row that they failed. Where's the money, Department of Defense? Where's the money? Now, I like a good, strong army. I appreciate the freedoms and I appreciate the protection, and sometimes some freedom needs to be distributed. I get it. We're going to redistribute some freedom amongst the world. But no. The point is, they don't know where the money's at. They failed their 5th audit. Look at this. You don't have to believe me. That's a news article. Check this. U.S. Department of Defense on their own website talking about this. Department of Defense makes audit progress, but much needs to happen. That's a very creative way to say we failed an audit. We made progress. We didn't fail as bad. You failed. You failed. Department of Defense. Okay, defense. Go to war. Bang, bang. Boom, boom. You fail in military, in war, means you don't come home. You come home in a box. There's not made progress. Well, the box was nicer looking. You're in the box. Fail. How are we so laissez-faire in the mismanagement of federal funds? You were supposed to be a steward of the people's money. I don't know where it's at. How is that okay? And it's so okay with some people that they're like, yeah, those people can redistribute wealth. Okay, pal. All right. Okay. Can't trust your judgment. You have obviously proven that you have foggy thinking. You cannot think clearly. Let's keep going. Check this out. This is from the Social Security website, the future financial status of the Social Security program. Not only are we $31 trillion in debt, when did the Social Security program start? FDR? Franklin Delano? Is that it? Roosevelt? And how are they doing with that? Not good. This is the official Social Security website. They are running out of money. They will run out of reserves. Check this out. So the cost of running the program is higher than the tax revenue that they're receiving. So they are going to have to, number one, either reduce benefits, or number two, what do you think is more likely? Increase taxes. Not only have they mismanaged every step of the part, I know. You're like, dude, did you already say that? Yeah, they mismanage everything. Everything is mismanaged. We're going to get to the solution of how do you redistribute money? How do you actually give income to people? We're going to get into that. What do you do? What can you do as an individual? Now let's look at this. This is another chart from the Social Security Administration website. This is public record. You can hit the internets on AskJeeves.com and you can find all this stuff yourself. Oh, man, look at this. Benefits not payable under current law. That means they're going to have to change the law. So according to many different sources, the Social Security fund is going to run out of reserves and not be able to pay benefits the way they are paying benefits somewhere between 2033 and 2036. This chart that you're seeing here on the page is from the Social Security Administration website, and it says, hey, we're going to be out of money. We just don't have any money. Okay, so no matter what angle you look at the United States government, they have no idea what the hell they're doing with money, and we should not trust them. I don't know how strongly of a case I need to make, but at this point, if you're still against that, then there's nothing that I am qualified to do to help you through that. If you're going to be dumb, you better be tough, because life's going to be hard. It is what it is. There's a lot of things that you can fix in the world, but you can't fix stupid. And I love you, no matter how dumb you are, but the government is not an entity to be trusted with money, especially to distribute it amongst the people. They can't even handle the money we gave them for 90 years, $31 trillion in debt. They can't handle the money that's supposed to be for the disabled, for the old, and for the survivors. That's Social Security Fund. They can't even handle the military budget, Department of Defense. How many examples do you need of mismanagement of funds before you finally come around and realize that income inequality is just a ploy for politicians to capture your vote? They're not trying to distribute wealth. They're trying to line their pocketbooks. In this episode of the podcast, I'm not going to get into all of the ways that politicians have earned $300,000 in a year or $150,000 in a year, but they're worth $200 million. The math ain't mathing for me on that one. We'll do that on another podcast. But let's get back to this point. So they have this thing that they talk about. They talk about fair share. You got to pay your fair share of taxes. The fair share is not a thing. There's not a share of it. Money is abundant. Money is limitless. There is no limit to the amount of money that is flowing in the world. It is abundant. So there's not a share of money to distribute. But if they can get you into a frame of mind of believing that you must share the tax burden, that you must share, then you're going to start to believe a scarcity mentality, a zero-sum game. And here's the root. It's not a zero-sum game. Money is not a zero-sum game. You are not, every time that you earn $1, you're not taking $1 from somebody else. Go back to the free enterprise system that we talked about, the fair market, the free market. Check this out. I go and I say, hey, Mr. Graphic Designer, can you design some graphics for my podcast? Mr. Graphic Designer says, yeah, let me see what you want to do. And I send him my thing. He goes, okay, I'm taking a look at it. Here's what I would charge for what you're asking for. I go, hey, that sounds great. The exchange, it's a fair and equal exchange. He gives me what I desire. I go, wow, that's awesome. This is exactly what I'm looking for, but it's better. Here's money. I'm happy. He's happy. Boom, good exchange. Does it always have to be in dollar bills? Sometimes it's exchanged in cryptocurrency. Sometimes it's exchanged in real estate. Sometimes it's exchanged in gold. Sometimes it's exchanged in trade or barter. Hey, man, I see that you're good at this thing. Instead of paying me money, would you be willing to do the thing that you're good at for me, and I'll do the thing that I'm good at for you? Those exchanges are endless and limitless. Therefore, it's abundant. It's not zero sum. But if they can get you to a state of believing that it's a zero-sum game, that there's a winner and there's a loser. If they can get you to think and believe that false belief, it is not true, it is not based in reality. If they can get you to believe that if you get more money, you are taking from somebody else, they win. They get your vote, and they move on down the road. But we can't have this conflicting belief that we need to raise minimum wage, and this is not neither for nor against raising minimum wage. This is just contrasting that there's this people make too much money and then people don't make enough money. So wait. So there's like this line in some people's mind that when you're poor, that we need to raise minimum wage so you make more money. But if you climb too high, we need to pull you back down. Because nobody needs $20 million a year. I mean, come on. He's playing a baseball game. He's playing a game, for God's sakes. Wait, make up your mind. Are we raising minimum wage or are we not raising minimum wage? Those things are connected. You think people don't make enough money, but then you're going to say that people make too much money. And you think the guy playing baseball is taken away from the guy making cheeseburgers and we need to raise minimum wage? Walk me through that logic train. It's not a zero-sum game. The guy playing baseball is not taking money from the person making cheeseburgers and we need to raise minimum wage on. Those two things are not connected. You're trying to connect them because you want to get a vote. Doesn't make any sense. These things are not connected. It is not a zero-sum game. Not one person has to lose in order for one to win. We're going to get deeper into this. But if they can convince you that you got to pay your fair share because it is... So let's walk through this just to be very clear. They want you to believe that money is a zero-sum game. In order for one to win, you must take from another. That is not true. It's not based in reality. There's no evidence of that. It's not true. But if they can get you to believe that it's a zero-sum game, then they can convince you the next lie, which is that you need to pay your fair share in taxes, that you need to do your fair share, Well, then, yeah, that makes sense because it's zero-sum. And the wealthy aren't paying their fair share. Wait a minute. That's all based on the zero-sum lie. It's not how it works. Let's go through this a little bit deeper. Okay, so if we understand that the free market is based on production and value, and you want to increase your income, here's what I would recommend. I would recommend that you take back control. I would type control in the comments or write it down wherever you're at. You want to take back control of your income. If you don't control your income, somebody else does, and they don't care how much money you make. So if you want to grow your income, if you're a type of person that wants to grow your income, then here's what you need to do. You need to increase the value that you deliver to the marketplace. Increase your value that you bring to the marketplace. In the example that I gave you, I went to the free market and I asked two different ends of the spectrum of graphic designers to design podcast artwork for me. One of them is just getting started. Their value to the marketplace is not that great because they're just getting started. There's no knock on them. It's like the first day of the job. The first day, you don't know anything. Just getting started, but I want to start. I'm going to charge a low rate because I need some experience. Cool. The other end of the spectrum, this guy's been doing it 15, 20 years. He's got years and years and years, worked with thousands of clients, has a portfolio that I can check and go, wow, this is great work. His value is much greater to the marketplace because his experience is greater than that person. Boom. So if you're the person that's just getting started in a career field, you've got to increase your experience, your skills, and the value that you bring to the marketplace. And those are things that are in your control. And if you want to grow your income, you've got to get in control. If you're not in control, then somebody else is. And if they are, they don't care how much you get paid, and you're not getting paid what you're worth. So we've got to get back control. So instead of worrying about somebody else, the government, redistributing money to you, we need to increase the value. Let's focus on the things that I can control. Nobody is coming to save me. I'm going to take care of me and my family. It is my responsibility to take care of my family. It's not my responsibility to pray to the government gods and please bless me. We're going to get to work. One of my early mentors said, as soon as you're done praying, get off your knees and get to work. I love it. I love it. Let's do both. Let's pray and work. Fair enough? Cool. So, and it doesn't even make sense to take money from people that are doing well because if it's a production-based model. Let's think about the NFL. The NFL, let's say there's a running back, there's a wide receiver that scores 20 touchdowns in a year. If that guy makes the same as the fifth string guy that plays 12 snaps a year, I scored more touchdown than snaps that you played. Why do we make the same money? That's a fair argument. It's a fair argument. You produced more for the team. You deserve more money. This is the argument with the WNBA. There's constant conversation around why we need equal pay for women's basketball. Well, women's basketball doesn't bring in as much revenue. There's not enough money to go around. It's basic math. There's not enough. The revenue is one side of it. Then there's expenses. There's not enough profit to redistribute the profit. We need greater profit share. Okay, cool. That's cool. I'm down to argue that conversation. There's still not a lot of profit to equal the pay that the NBA players make. The NBA players bring in a lot of profit. There's a lot of money in that. Well, when there's profit, there's stuff to distribute. There's money that we can distribute to the productive people that helped bring in the profit. Think about this. If you have two people that work in your business, you hire one guy. He brings in, let's go girl. You hire one girl. He brings in she. Well, the girl could be a he. It's not the girl. You hire the girl. The girl brings in $1 million. Then you have another person, and they bring in $20. The $1 million is from new income that you wouldn't have received without hiring that person. The other person, the $20 you wouldn't have received without hiring that person. Who deserves to get paid more? The person that brought $1 million of revenue to your business, or the person that brought $20 of revenue to your business? Let's just say it's a sales role. And let's say you got to keep one of them, and you got to get rid of one of them. Who you keeping? Basic math. If none of this stuff makes sense to you, it may not be the guy for you. I love you. I love you no matter what. What is going on, baby? One of these other fallacies, one of these other zero-sum games, doesn't make any freaking sense, is this idea of market share. This idea of market share is so antiquated. It's so old. It has no basis or bearing on it anymore, but yet people keep using this share, and it's a zero-sum game framework of thinking. Doesn't make any sense. How would you classify Apple? Like, what kind of company are they? Are they a computer company? They make computers? Are they a cell phone company? They make cell phones? Are they a services company? Like they're a TV company, Apple TV? Like they're an entertainment? Are they an entertainment company? Are they a cloud storage company? Because you can iCloud and store your stuff. They're not. Are they a tablets company? Like they build iPads? Like they make Are they a wearables company? They're a watch company. That's what they are. They're what? Are they AirPods, headset company? Are they a streaming company with Apple Music? What kind of company? Market share doesn't make any sense anymore. Apple, like if there's only so much, if it's a zero-sum game, they can only get so much share of the computer industry. And I go, no. Well, we're going to be computers and iPhones. We're going to be computers, iPhones, and entertainment. We're going to be computers, iPhones, entertainment, and wearables. We're going to be computers, iPhones, entertainment, wearables, and tablets. We're going to be, do you see how they expanded that? I really want you to understand that market share inside of a business is not a thing. This is why income inequality is not a thing. This is why paying your fair share of taxes is not a thing. It is not a zero-sum game. Prior to the iPhone being released, you could believe that Apple had reached market share, whatever the heck that even means. Then they come out with a thing that only existed in the brain of Steve Jobs and the designers and engineers at Apple. It's the only place it exists, in imagination. Then they release it to the public, and now everybody and their grandmama has one. Wait a minute. Where did that come from? I thought money was finite. I thought there's a limited amount of resources. I thought that there's only so much market share that somebody could gain. Then Apple pulls something from their imagination, brings it to the marketplace, and provides value. The marketplace goes, holy cow, this is freaking awesome. You mean I can check my email? You mean I can call people? Which, who calls people anymore? I mean, I do, but like that's like the last thing you do on your phone. Man, I can scroll on the internet. The internet's in my pocket. That's crazy. Then there's the rise of social media. Like, social media wasn't quite that big. Then iPhone comes out and all the technologies that go along with it. And then it gives rise to social media. Where did all that money come from? Right? Would Facebook be as big as Facebook is without iPhones in pockets? Without smartphones in pockets? Would Instagram? No way. So because of an imagination of one company, that increased their market share. Then they created a product that then allowed other companies, for example, social media, to create their product, then go get more money. Where is all this money come from if it's limited? Where did it come from? It's the same thing like when I bought a commercial property in a terrible area. The commercial property needed to be rehabbed. All the houses around it, dilapidated, terrible values, all that stuff. We come in, we fix up the commercial property. What happens? I don't own the residential property around the commercial property. We fix up the commercial property. What happens to the home values of the residential properties around the commercial property? There's a grocery store that wasn't there before. There's a strip mall that wasn't there before. What happens to the value of the properties that are around the commercial property that we built and improved? Do they go up or do they go down? They go up. Where did that money come from? How is it worth more? Where's the money come from? Isn't that interesting? It's not a limited resource. It's not, there's not like there's only $12 in the world and that's not how it works. Market share is the most ridiculous thing that still goes on in business. Market share is so crazy because Apple didn't touch their market share. It's because they expanded into these other things, continued to go on and on and on. Not only did they expand, but they created life for other things. How many people created an app on the Apple Store and made a ton of money? Without the Apple Store, like the App Store, those people wouldn't have money. Apple are they an App Store company? Because they make 30% revenue on anything that's sold in the App Store. That created a whole economy inside of another economy. It's like Inception all the way down. Everybody's getting rich. No such thing as market share. So you got to be careful with this idea. The fundamental understanding of all of this is that there's not a limited amount of resource. There's not a limited amount of wealth that you can build. It is unlimited. It just keeps going and going and going and going. And it shows up in many different forms. It can show up in dollar bills. It can show up in real estate. It can show up in gold. It goes on and on and on. And here's the final nail in this entire freaking argument because of how dumb this idea is. Let's say that it is limited. Let's say that there is only so many resources. There are people that believe that they have reached their limit, when in fact they have not reached their limit. So let's say that there's $100 or 100%. And then this person over here has an actual limit. Let's say they're at $20 and they have an actual physical limitation of $50. Whatever this means, okay? They're at 20. Their actual physical limitation is 50. But they stop at 25 because they're like, wow, I exceeded 20. I never would have believed. And then they coast. They chill. Whatever coast and chill means to you. Maybe they stop hustling. Maybe they stop building their business. Whatever that means to you. So their actual physical limitation was $50. But they stopped at 25 because they used to be at 20. And this new ceiling was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. and they stop. Even if there was a limit of 100, their limit was 50, they stopped $25 short. People out there are constantly cutting themselves short, which even if it was a limited amount of money in the world, because of all of those people all around the world stopping short, giving up early, believing things that they shouldn't believe that are holding them back, having these false beliefs in the back of their mind, free up all this extra money for the people that don't stop. It's really that freaking simple. And you can see this in the physical world. How many times physically have you been exercising and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. My heart's going to explode. My cardio is not where it needs to be. And then you push yourself and then you kind of get over the wall and you're like, whoa. And maybe you get the runner's high. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I could do this much. There it is. How long have you been holding yourself back? It's all in your head. It's really interesting. So even, I give you the argument. Let's say that money is limited. Let's say you add up all the dollar bills, all the gold, all the real estate, and you go, yeah. Well, technically, Mr. Money Man, well, technically, there's only $100 trillion available in the global supply. Okay, let's say that's true. All the people selling themselves short happens every day. You know what I'm talking about because you've probably experienced it with yourself. Man, I remember when I used to, cool. That frees up money if it is limited. So it's always unlimited. And we're going to wind this thing down, but I want you to understand that the belief that money is limited will cost you money. Even if I'm wrong on all of this stuff, even if I am, even if this guy is freaking cuckoo puffs, cuckoo bird for Cocoa Puffs, even if this guy is crazy, the belief that money is unlimited is of greater service in thought than the belief that money is limited. Think about it. Man, there's only so much muscle in this gym. I'm going to take some days off. There's only so much muscle. There's only so much love in this relationship. I'm going to take it easy. There's only so much money in this world. I'm going to chill. I'm not going to produce. I'm not going to put any more creative ideas in the world. I'm not going to go into my imagination like Steve Jobs and try to provide value to the world in a way they've never experienced before. There's only so much. That belief holds you back, naturally creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of you not earning the type of income that you're capable of earning. So, which thought are you going to believe? Even if I'm wrong, believing that money is unlimited will increase your ability to bring in more wealth, to bring in more money. So if you're not making the kind of money that you desire to make, we have to adjust your beliefs because your beliefs lead to your actions and your actions lead to your results. Therefore, even if I'm wrong, the belief serves you of greater importance, of greater wealth building capabilities to believe that you can actually go out there and earn more money because it's unlimited. There is no positive benefit to believe in the thought that money is a limited, finite resource. There is no positive benefit to you or to society. There is no positive benefit to believing that if you earn $1, you're stealing it or taking it from somebody else. And if you ever want to check yourself on this, are you making promises and are you keeping promises? That's it. Every promise that you make, do you keep? And if money is involved, same thing. I make a promise, I keep a promise, I collect cash. All good. I go to the graphic designer and I say, hey, can you design some stuff for my podcast? He goes, yeah, I can do this kind of work. And I say, great. If you do that kind of work, I'll pay you this kind of money. He goes, that sounds good to me. Deal. He does the work. I pay him the money. If I get the work and it's what he said, I'm happy. If I get the work and it's what he said and then some, I'm ecstatic. If I get the work and it's not what he said and it's less than, I'm not happy. It's that freaking simple. In business, you make money by keeping your promises. The framework is very simple. Make promises, keep promises, collect cash, and don't feel guilty. You delivered on what you said you would deliver on. There's no guilt in making money. Unless you're not delivering on what you said you would. That's called a scam. It's very simple, very basic. Well, this was episode 1 of many of the Mornings with Money Man. I hope you enjoyed this. You can get your, I don't know where you're listening to this at. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening to this on a podcast, I've got free resources. I've got all my programs helping you buy assets that produce passive income so you can get freedom without waiting until you're freaking old. If you want to do that, you can go to MoneyManMyers.com. That's where everything is stored. You can check me out on all of my social pages. Everything is at MoneyManMyers. So that's TikTok, that's Instagram, that's YouTube. Everything is at MoneyManMyers, MYERS. Hope you enjoyed this. You can make sure that you follow along or do whatever you got to do. And please, for the love of God, don't believe anything the government says. It can't be trusted. It cannot be trusted. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. Y'all have a good one. One Take Willie. No edits, no cuts. This is what it is.